Megtooth Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, blast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth Sabers.
No sound. Try that again. So, at any rate, I was told I had to get Mickey Mouse ears. Smooth Jazz Family dined me out there. I had my sound muted. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. But that's about as Mickey Mouse as you're going to get from me. Those were my mouse ears. We'll get more on that in a minute. But at any rate, hopefully you guys have audio now. But I wanted to, one of my regular viewers, Mountain Sabers, Mountain Sabers did a custom font for me, and it's Megtooth Sith font, and it's on this saber. And force. And of course, Nick, this is running OS 6. This is running OS 6. Yeah, I mean, I've got, I've built a ton of OS 6 sabers. Bion recently finished an install with V1 Verso. Every time he puts the blade in Ignite, it just reboots. If that's the case, Bion, you might have a short in your blade, or a short in your system somewhere. What's probably happening is the battery protection circuit is tripping. So there might be a short in your blade if that's happening. Or you could have a short somewhere else in the system that goes active once you ignite. I'm not 100% sure how Verso works, but that usually is indicative that you have a short somewhere in your system. Either in the blade or somewhere in the saber. So I haven't been live for a long time. I think it's been about 3 weeks. And you know, I went to Disney, and then last week I couldn't go live because work was bad. You know, when my work is bad, somebody had a worse day than me. And it was really bad. So then my whole week last week was a nightmare. Oh yeah, that's about it. That's the only Mickey Mouse ears you'll see me wearing. So those are my Mickey Mouse ears. That's, you know, I ain't wearing none of the other ones. But I got those. It was funny. Because we went to Disney, so I was going to share with y'all some pictures. Still no audio? You still don't have audio at all? I'm showing you have audio on my end. Okay, sweet Evan. Yeah, I'm definitely showing that you guys should have audio on my end. But I want to do, yeah, I'm showing audio output. Hey, Kim. I got some of Kim's stuff to show off, too. That's some of Kim's stuff right there. Sweet, Kim. I'm glad you're here because, you know, I definitely wanted to talk about that monstrosity that's in there tonight. And, you know, it works. I wanted to talk about that. And we'll get to that here in a minute because I definitely want to talk about that. And, you know, I'm glad everybody's here. But I wanted to thank Mountain Sabers for that font. I like it, Mountain Sabers. You know, it's pretty cool. And Robert Myers is on. So, you know, it's got some post-offs and things like that. Pretty cool. So, thank you, Mountain Sabers, for the new font. That's awesome. I like it. Nick, I do want to talk about some features in OS 6 because I definitely have some stuff that's popped up in the last 2 weeks that I want to talk about on OS 6 for sure. And it's too bad that Fernando's not on here. But at any rate, it doesn't matter. I definitely want to show you all some pictures from Disney. It was pretty awesome. And, you know, and then I'll do some explaining afterwards. So I'm going to go to Windows Share here, stand by. And let me get the Disney pictures up and running here. So, you know, there's a bunch of pictures from Disney. But the main pictures I wanted to show you guys. So, while we were at Disney, and there's Jen, and there's Ella holding the lightsaber that I'm running here on this video. But while we were in Galaxy's Edge, I'm sitting next to this guy on the bench, and we're drinking blue milk. And I look over at his saber, and I see that it's a custom saber. And I'm like, hey, that's a custom saber. That's not some, you know, Savi's Workshop stuff. And he's like, yeah, how did you know? And I'm like, because I can see the blade. It's a custom blade. And he goes, well, are you here for the lightsaber meetup? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, there's a lightsaber meetup tonight at the TIE Fighter and the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge. And so we ended up in this lightsaber meetup in Galaxy's Edge. And this is right near Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter. Y'all, any of y'all that have been there in Galaxy's Edge, you can see where we were at. And this is at Walt Disney World in Florida. And the funny thing about it is, I mean, there was just, the pictures don't do any justice because there were lightsabers everywhere. It was absolutely insane how many lightsabers were there. And it was really cool. And, you know, I want to show you all more of that later. But there's, you know, me and Jen and Ella at Disney World on day one. You can see my Mickey Mouse ears. That's about the only time I ever wore them. But at any rate, I wore them. I was being a good spirit about wearing the Mickey Mouse ears. I wanted to show you all some other pictures of Galaxy's Edge. You know, there's the Millennium Falcon, which is super cool. Standing next to a life-size model of the Millennium Falcon is, you know, pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I had a great time. This is a panoramic view, and you can see the Millennium Falcon here, and Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter is right down here. So this is like a panoramic view of Galaxy's Edge. It's really not that big, y'all. But at any rate, that was Galaxy's Edge. And Ella riding a roller coaster. This is, I don't want to give too much of it away, but this is certainly inside the Rise of the Resistance, which was an impressive ride. And then, of course, we're back to the lightsabers. I was trying to see if there was... Oh, yeah. Let's see if this will play. Ella's first roller coaster. It's funny how she goes from terror to laughing. But, you know, at any rate, that was that. Galaxy's Edge, lightsaber meetup. And try to get back to y'all here and see what y'all had to say in the chat. Yeah, so the funny part about the lightsaber meetup is I didn't even know it. The funny part was was, you know, I carried around, I actually had both of these sabers, this one and this one. So I had my, you know, Dark Force Sabers Transcendence with me as well. But, you know, when it got down time to do it, I had my Profi 3.7 saber. And you know, I carried around the lightsaber all day, and Jen was like, "What are you bringing that thing in here for?" I said, "Because, you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be a bunch of kids in here, and I'm going to get to have lightsaber duels with all these kids." Yeah, that was Slinky Dog Kim. And I was like, "I'm going to have lightsaber duels with all these kids, and it's going to be awesome." And then, you know, that didn't materialize because of the lightsaber meetup, but it didn't. But then we get to the lightsaber meetup, and I've been carrying around this saber all day, and I'm getting ready to have my moment of glory. And Ella snatches glory from the hands of victory, and she holds up my lightsaber in this group. And that's why I have all the pictures of it on my phone, because I didn't even get to participate. But it doesn't matter. I still, you know, got to have fun with watching the lightsabers go. So that was, you know, that was pretty awesome experience, getting to see all that happen. So that was pretty cool. So, you know, I know Nick can't hear me, but Nick wanted to talk about OS 6 features. I don't know if Nick's still on, if he can hear me or what. But if you want to talk about OS 6 features, we can. I just want to talk about, really quick, some problems that you can come across in edit mode. If you don't know what you're doing and you accidentally go into edit mode, or, you know, if you're just pressing buttons and you go into edit mode, you can certainly put your saber in a position where it's scrolling through fonts, where the blade doesn't work, does work, changes features. You really shouldn't mess around in edit mode unless you've read about it and you purposely going into edit mode. Edit mode can definitely hose a saber. I've had a couple of sabers in the last week that edit mode pretty much did a number on, and, you know, Fernando designed edit mode to make the end users able to modify their lightsabers without having to understand Arduino and without having to rewrite a config file. And the Profi board workbench is the same thing. But the edit mode on the saber has certainly caused, you know, some issues. I mean, I understand edit mode. I understand how to use it and how it works. But a new user, new to Profi, might accidentally go in edit mode and thinking that they're just operating the saber, but they're not. They're in edit mode, and then they start pressing buttons and twisting the saber, and you're navigating through all these menus, and the saber starts rotating through sound fonts, and, you know, it just can really make a mess of things. So I hope, I don't know if Nick can see me right now, but I mean, I really like OS 6, but probably I'm thinking, you know, on sabers that I'm putting out, I'm almost rather inclined to disable edit mode on the saber. Still allow web USB editing, but disabling edit mode on the saber because of these two sabers that have run into issues with edit mode. So I think edit mode can have its issues. I don't know if Nick can hear me. But the rest of the OS 6 is pretty cool. And I don't know if y'all realize this, but we're up to OS 6.7. You know, when I got back to Disney, I realized we're on OS 6.7, so that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to show y'all some more pictures, so stand by. I'm going to go to Windows Share again and go into something else. So, you know, we did the PhotoPass thing, and these are just some more pictures of Disney. And we haven't bought these yet. We're thinking about it. But that's Jen and Ella, of course. Ella. That's Ella at the floating mountains and, you know, in the Avatar land. And, you know, that was pretty cool. We rode the flight, the Avatar flight ride. It was pretty awesome. We rode Smuggler's Run. We rode a lot of stuff. Rise of the Resistance. Oh, that's pretty cool. You know, that picture with the X-Wings in the background. They should have had me holding a rifle shooting at the X-Wings, but that's pretty cool how they, you know, can put stuff in the background on the photos. And, you know, pretty cool stuff that Disney can pull off here, you know. but you know, we had a lot of fun for sure. And that's me and Ella on the Slinky Dog, and Jen and Ella at the Millennium Falcon. There's me at the Millennium Falcon with the, you know, the Transcendence. But it's during the day, can't even see it, so I have to rotoscope that or something. Pretty cool what they do with the photos. But, you know, we got to figure out if we're going to buy these things or what. But there's just tons of photos from Galaxy's Edge and Disney and everything else. There's tons more photos I could show you. This is from the Magic Kingdom. That was just a great picture of Jen and Ella at the Magic Kingdom. That was like right before the fireworks show. But, you know, I think we need to definitely purchase some of these pictures. But at any rate, let's get back to the program. Nick has mastered... Oh, yeah. I'm pretty much the same way, Kim. I'm not like a big picture guy. Hey, Fernando. Yeah, so Nick says he's mastered edit mode, and that's cool. I mean, you know, Fernando, when he created edit mode, and I think he's on the stream now. Oh, yeah, it was definitely a good trip. You know, there was a huge lightsaber meetup, Fernando. I don't know if you got to see it. But, you know, Fernando created edit mode, like I said. I mean, he was trying to make it so that the end users could modify their sabers and not have to learn Arduino and writing your config and the code and all that. And, you know, it's very powerful what Fernando did. But if you don't know what you're doing and you're just clicking buttons, or you're accidentally going in edit mode and twisting the saber and clicking buttons, you can certainly get yourself and your saber in trouble quick, fast, and in a hurry. And, you know, I've had that happen right now with 2 of my OS 6 sabers. So like I said, I may begin limiting the functionality of edit mode on customer sabers because it got... Hey, Chet Osborne, because it got so crazy. But at any rate, I also wanted to talk to you guys about Kim Kanama. Because Kim Kanama's on the stream tonight. Oh, yeah, because you're holding the camera. I hear you, Kim. But Kim is on the stream tonight, and I wanted to talk about a little project that I did. And I published a video about it right before I went to Disney. And Kim Kanama builds these PCBs. He engineers these, basically, you know, printed circuit boards. So here's like a printed circuit board. I'm hoping it'll focus in on it in a second. There you go. So that's one of Kim's printed circuit boards. Now, everywhere there's those 4 little pads, there's a NeoPixel that can go on there. So this is basically his blade plug circuit board. And I actually made one of these with Hot Air Rework Station. And I'll show it to you really quick. See if this pops up. And this one actually has the NeoPixels on it. So this has, I think it's 9 NeoPixels around the outside, and it lights up. It's pretty awesome. And I showed a quick video of this, and you know, my only criticism of this particular PCB, Kim, is that you have to mill down the inside of these blade pieces so that all the NeoPixels fit in there. That was my only comments on that, is maybe those NeoPixels need to move inboard just a hair so that they clear the stock TCSS blade ends. But I wanted to show you guys this thing running. Let me whip out my Transcendence here, and I'll pop this in so y'all can see it. I may just put it in a clear piece of blade so you guys can really see those 16 NeoPixels running, but it's pretty awesome. And I did this, you know, with Hot Air Rework. So first I'm just going to show it to you, you know, as a normal blade plug so you guys can see it running. So there it is, you know, on a fire blade. Lighten up that blade plug, which is pretty awesome. And then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it in a piece of clear blade so you guys can see it. You can find a piece of 1-inch scrap here. think I found a piece of 1-inch scrap, and I'm going to put this in a piece of 1-inch scrap and put it down in the saber and tighten it up so you guys can see these Kim Kanama's Evil Genius at work here. And let's see here. Alright. So this is Kim Kanama's PCB, blade plug PCB. They're in a, blank blade. That's pretty awesome with those 9 little 1515 neopixels. But yeah, Kim, the only criticism I would have of that particular PCB is those neopixels are a little bit too far outboard, and they don't fit inside the custom, Saber Shop's blade PCB. So I had to mill down the inside of this. I'm hoping it'll focus. I don't know if it's going to focus or not. Put it in front of my face, maybe it'll focus. There it goes. So I had to mill down the inside of this so that they would fit. So all the neopixels would fit in there. So that's my only criticism, is I think if those neopixels move inboard just a little bit more, it would be perfect. But these things are spot on, and I'm hoping maybe we can build a couple more of these, and maybe next week. So I've got this, I've got the template, which you basically put the PCB in behind the template and lining up the marks, and then you squeegee your solder paste onto the PCB, and then you take your little 1515 neopixels, like these are from Adafruit, and you take these little 1515s and you orient them, according to how they're supposed to be oriented on this. There's a little dot on there that on where each of the pixels goes, there's a little dot that you have to line up and orient the pixels so that they're on there correctly. And the funny thing was I was all sweating it and worried about it, and Kim gave me some reference photos to work with, and I squeegeed the solder paste onto there, and oh, you print your own holders. I got you. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, Kim, I think those would be perfect. If they could just move inboard just a little bit more for custom Saber Shop blade end pieces. I don't 3D print, so I have to get all my stuff from the custom Saber Shop, and those are pretty much standard. So I think that's the only criticism I'd have of those. Is I can send you some blade PCBs too if you need, or I can send you the inside diameter of their custom stock blade PCBs. But at any rate, the bottom line though, Kim, is it's awesome. I mean, y'all can see how bright it is. You got all those little bitty neopixels, and Kim invented this, and he invented this particular PCB, the one I showed you tonight. And Kim has been trying to talk me into getting into this SMD micro soldering for quite some time. And I have a hot air station, but I've never used it. And I put a couple of videos up of doing the 0603 resistors with hot air, and Kim talked me into doing this. So I went ahead and ordered a bunch of the PCBs and the 1515s, and I was like, this is never going to work, it's too small. I'm having to line up each of the pixels by zooming in with my microscope camera just to line up the pixels one at a time. And then I go to put the hot air on them, and they line up perfectly right on the pads and soak in. And then the first time I put power to it, they all lit up. And I was like, it worked. It worked. It's working. And it really wasn't that difficult. It's something that I think other people can do. Now, when I say it wasn't that difficult, I'm talking about applying the hot air. Now, lining up the individual neopixels on those 4 pads in the orientation that they have to be lined up on without touching the other neopixels on the PCB, that was tough. You've got 9 neopixels on there, and you got to keep your fingers away from all the others as you're putting the other ones on. But once you get all the neopixels on and lined up and oriented properly, you just put hot air on it and keep working your way around, and you see each of the neopixels. It's so cool because what happens is, like, the neopixel may be twisted just a little bit, and as you're applying heat, it twists back onto center and seats where it's supposed to seat. It's really awesome. Definitely worked out really good. So I didn't tell y'all, but also last weekend, so of course last week was really bad at work because we had one of those situations, you know, when it's really bad, it's really bad. You know, somebody died. And, but at any rate, then last weekend, just this last weekend, every year there's this Azalea Festival here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And this year was the 75th Azalea Festival, and this is the first time that we've had one post-COVID. So, you know, it was crazy, and I ended up having to work all weekend. So tonight's my first, you know, night that I've had off for quite some time. And I do have some saber work to do, but, you know, I definitely just wanted to cover the bases on showing y'all Galaxy's Edge, which is awesome. You know, I know some Star Wars fans don't like Disney, don't like Galaxy's Edge. And, you know, I don't necessarily care for Disney's politics or whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is that Galaxy's Edge was a good experience for me. I had a good time there. I think Rise of the Resistance is probably one of the coolest things I've ever ridden. Smuggler's Run was even cool. The experience itself and just the scenery inside of Galaxy's Edge was pretty cool. I had a good time. And, you know, I didn't go in a lot of the stores. Of course, I didn't buy any lightsabers there, but I'm seeing the lightsabers people are making and buying. And, you know, you're just kind of like, eek, you know, especially with how much they're paying for them. But, you know, Galaxy's Edge overall was a very, very, very good experience for me. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. Did a lot of walking. I think we covered 29 miles in 3 days, something like that. So it was pretty insane. It was definitely a lot of walking. But, yeah, what I'm thinking is next week, maybe we can do some hot air soldering on some of these, the Kim Kanama's PCBs, and we can make a few more of those. But I had a lot of fun building that one. And, you know, maybe I can set it up where, like, I already have one PCB ready to receive hot air. And, you know, I show squeegeeing the solder paste onto another PCB with the template and how to set up the template on the PCB. And then going ahead and videoing the hot air soldering of the PCB I've already put all the NeoPixels on, like maybe set it up in stages. Because I think it would probably take us a full hour for me to try to line up all the pixels on the PCB while we're live. Because it's definitely a lot of very small work. And, you know, I'm not so sure we could pull that off live. But at any rate, that was pretty awesome. So what do y'all have to talk about tonight? Anybody got anything big? And if Fernando's got, you know, Fernando's got a next phase, a phase 4 of his style library that he put the video out about tonight. I haven't seen that, but, you know, there's a lot of things still happening in OS 6 and Fernando's style library. And the Profi OS was upgraded apparently while I was in Disney to 6.7. So make sure y'all are upgrading to Profi OS 6.7. That'll be the most recent OS, and I'll be updating any saber that I have that I need to send out to Profi OS 6.7 before I send it out. So I've got a bunch of sabers here. Smooth Jazz family sent me a Graflex to repair, and you know, I'll be doing the repairs on, this is Smooth Jazz family's Graflex right here. And be doing some repairs on the switches on it. And I'll leave that at that. But at any rate, rewiring the switches on Smooth Jazz family saber. And, you know, doing some other repairs and finishing up the MPP, which is behind me. It's right over there over this shoulder. It's right there. That's the MPP that we've been working on. And I just ordered, that's another thing I want to talk about. I just ordered new Profi boards, and I ordered these from Saber Bay, and they just came in. And, you know, of course, they're mondo proud of these right now during the chip shortage. But I did order 4 new Profi boards because I was totally out. I was totally out of Profi boards, and that really stinks. We'll get it fixed, Sarmiento. There's nothing wrong with it, per se. The wires are just ripped. But there's nothing wrong with the saber. I just got to rewire the switch PCB, and then I'll make a private video for you on how not to have that happen. But at any rate, Chet Osborne's working on an 89 Sabers K4 V2. I wonder, hey, do you have a chassis for that already? Because I think I have a K4 V2 chassis from Goff. I'm pretty sure. I got a K4 V2 chassis from Goff. If you don't already have a chassis for that, Chet, I have a chassis for it. I actually ordered this by mistake. I needed a chassis for Fett's working on his Thrawn Hunters as he has time. Oh yeah. Now, did you get the KR Thrawn Hunters, Fernando? The Ahsoka, you know, the slimline builds? Those things are freaking awesome. I wish I could have got in on that run, but I just didn't have any money because we dropped all our money to the mouse. We hadn't had a vacation in over a year. So we basically spent a lot of our money at the mouse. So Chet Osborne. Yep, this is a K4. Oop, Lord have mercy. This is a K4 V2 chassis by Goff. This is the Padawan chassis if you need one. I have one. This is for the K4 V2. I paid $50 for it. I'll let it go for $30. It's brand new. Never been used. I ordered the wrong chassis when I was building the OWK3. So it's good to go. Yeah, library coding. Well, you got to finish your 3.7 Saber too, Fernando. This is my 3.7 Saber, which was at Galaxy's Edge. So Profi Board 3.7 went to Galaxy's Edge and was at the lightsaber meetup. You know, so that's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people ask me what soundboard was in this. Oh, that's cool that you got the KRs. A lot of people were asking me what soundboard was in this, and I said Profi Board 3.7. And everybody's like, that doesn't exist. And I'm like, yes, it does. And this is one of only 10 in existence. I think it's somewhere around 10 that Frederick had made, 9, 10. And but I had a bunch of people tell me that doesn't exist, and I'm like, oh yes it does, yes it do, and I got one. So it was pretty cool. We had a lot of fun in Disney. It was a good getaway. You know, unfortunately, came right back here to work, and I know, you know, I'm gonna have to get caught up on VCs. What material are the Goff chassis made from? SLA. They're 3D printed from SLA at Shapeways VCs. That's a crazy name. I was trying to remember your name the other day. I was like, you know, trying to think of the most crazy YouTube names I've ever seen, and yeah, VCs would be one of them. Yeah. Well, you know, the 3.7 is still a great board. I'm so lucky to have one. All right, 3D printed your own chassis. Oh well, Chet, it was a thought. You know, when you said you had that hilt, I'm like, oh man, I might be able to finally get rid of this thing. I just need to go ahead and put that up on the Facebook groups and sell it. Actually, Brian Connor bought it, but he needed a different chassis than that, so he ended up sending it back. I gave him his money back for it. So it's just a chassis I've got laying around that's no use to me. So I'll put it on one of the Facebook groups here eventually and sell it. You know, it's just more money tied up in inventory that I don't need. So I definitely want to sell it. But yeah, got a lot of Saber work going on, and apparently it's going to take me a while to get caught up on the Crucible and everything's Fernando's done while I've been gone. Because that's how Profi OS is. If you're asleep at the wheel for a week, you know, you're 2 months behind because Fernando and Frederick keep evolving it so quickly. Hey, Fernando, if you're still on, do you know what the major changes were from 6.6 to 6.7? Because I don't know. From 6.6 to 6.7. I don't know what the changes were. I haven't even got caught up on that yet. But the Saber's running 6.7 because I updated it tonight from this new font from Mountain Sabers. The Mountain Sabers made me this new font. lightning block. Tip drag. So at any rate, thank you Mountain Sabers for the custom Megtooth set font. That's awesome. And, you know, having a lot of fun with it. Tiny bug change, I got you. So nothing major. Yeah, I'll send you a message offline, Fernando. I got to talk to you about some stuff, but not that there's any problems with anything. It's just some stuff that I've run into the last 2 weeks. But at any rate, only really affected a small percentage of builds. Okay. Yeah, well, you know, every time Frederick updates the OS, I put it on my Profi board 3.7 and plug in and see if I can get web USB running on my 3.7, but it doesn't. So something's wrong with my 3.7 web USB, and also every Profi board that I have bought from Electronics 1, 2, and 3 will not hook into web USB, but all my KR Sabers boards have, including all these boards that I just got from Saber Bay. As soon as I get a Profi board, and this is a tip. This is a tip for anyone buying a Profi board. When I buy a Profi board, the first thing I do is plug it into USB and make sure I don't get a high temperature on the board. And then I also make sure that it connects to web USB. And I do that before I put any solder on them. And that's to make sure that, number one, they don't have that high temperature thing, because like maybe 1 out of every 30 Profi boards that I've ordered, even from KR Sabers, they go into that high temperature death spiral as soon as you plug them into USB. And those boards are going to die if you try to wire them into your Saber. So that's a test that I do to all my soundboards before I put solder on them. As soon as I receive them, plug them into USB, make sure that none of the SMDs are heating up to those critical temperatures, number one. And then make sure it connects to web USB. And you may have to flash it with a config file. And, you know, those Profi boards from Saber Bay look like KR Sabers Profi boards to me. And I'm very happy with that purchase, even though they're a lot more expensive. You know, 2.5 years ago, Profi board 2.2s were $35. Now they're $100. So that's a huge difference. You know, before, if you had a Profi board that went amok, you didn't care, you just threw it away. And now, you know, if you've got a Profi board heaven, you need to be saving those things, because you might be able to salvage, you know, a Profi board from all your Profi board heavens. You just send them to Brian Connor, I guess, and he can fix them. But at any rate, yeah, I'll get up with you later, Fernando. I might PM you on the Crucible or something. Don't worry about it tonight. But at any rate, I don't have anything else to show you guys tonight, and it seems like we're out of things to talk about. Showed the pictures from Galaxy's Edge. Showed the Mountain Sabers Megtooth Sith font, which is pretty cool, on my Profi board 3.7. And, you know, we talked about the Kim Kanama's PCBs. And I think what we'll do next week is maybe we'll assemble some of those PCBs and do some hot air soldering live and show you all it's not that hard. So it should be lots of fun. So long as the world doesn't come to an end and, you know, more chaos doesn't happen at work, we'll try to do some PCB soldering next week with hot air. And I think we're going to call it there. This is 41 minutes. We'll call it a night. And thank you everybody for watching, you know, and we'll try to do the same thing next week. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all next week, next Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. See ya! Hashtag nerd up.
Thank you everybody for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,